Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. So a couple of things to cover here just to catch up with some info from the last few days. We'll start with this. So we already know what this is. I covered this in my last video. Avatar Kyoshi novel Ultimate Collector's Edition, which of course is Rise of Kyoshi and Shadow of Kyoshi in one book. That's why it's listed as being like 800 pages. Still no pictures, but as you can see here, we do now have the description of this item. Now, I think for most people, the description doesn't actually tell you the information that we do or kind of don't really want to know. They get very kind of technical on what makes it the sort of collector's edition, but I would say they don't really explain why it's the ultimate edition. In terms of they get very detailed on presentation without really showing what it is, if there's anything new art, if it has extras, that stuff isn't covered here. So you can see here, the Deluxe Collector's Edition includes features such as a cloth slipcase with foil stamping. So okay, it's going to have a slipcase, it's going to be cloth in some nature, and it will have foil stamping on it. Okay, so you're going to get the big book and some sort of a kind of box slipcase to put it into. Okay, that means there's actually extra space for like arts and stuff for presentation. Still want to know what's actually on the cover. Still want to know what's on sort of the slipcase cover. But okay, that's interesting. That certainly makes it kind of a collector's edition type thing. Die cuts in front and back of the slipcase revealing art underneath. So, okay, the slipcase will, I guess, have holes in it that when you slide the book in, it'll kind of peek out. But what is the art underneath? Is it new art? Or is this just that they have the Rise and Shadow of Kyoshi covers either side and you see Kyoshi's face on either side through a cutout? That will be a little bit boring. So I do hope that they have new art there that makes this really cool, interesting, and worth buying if you already have multiple copies of the book. Stained edges, classic thing to make the book a little bit fancier. You know, what color? Is it just going to be gold, which I think is most books use? Satin ribbon bookmark, again, kind of classic thing just to make it a little bit fancier. What color is it? You know, that sort of thing. But, you know, it doesn't really tell me the stuff I want to know about this book, which is, you know, obviously when the pictures go live, we'll know the details about what's going on. But, like, did you get new art? Is there extra art on the slipcase? Within the book itself, is it literally just the two books? Is there any extras at all? Does it include any of the stuff from the exclusive editions of the book? Does it include the booklet from the box set for the Kyoshi books? Is there anything new beyond that? Is there all the illustration stuff that we have collected together? It doesn't say that. And I think for an Ultimate Collector's Edition, you have to be really detailed about that. You have to tell people exactly what this is and what it isn't, because if it doesn't have a lot of that stuff, then unfortunately it's not really an Ultimate Edition. It might be a Collector's Edition because it's fancy, but it doesn't come across right now as being the Ultimate Edition because you're probably not going to have all the content here at the end of the day. So, I'm eagerly awaiting to see what this looks like because I'm fascinated to see what way they approach doing this big 800-page hardcover book, and they have like a front and a back kind of cover and a slipcase to work with. How nicely presented is this? And I really don't want them to reuse the cover art again. Next, we'll switch over to my Twitter for the rest of the news. So just to cover some stuff here, I mentioned this in my last news update video, but again, from Toy World magazine, they apparently revealed that Seven Havens has a release date for 2027. Again, this was in the context of course, highlighting that they've got a big toy line coming out for Avatar, so they're teasing the idea of there's all this new Avatar stuff coming out over the next couple of years, including Seven Havens in 2027. So it's like, wow, I can't believe we got that information from there. That's kind of so interesting. Then we find out that there was also this Toy World kind of magazine supplement thing that just went into kind of a little bit more depth on other companies and stuff like that. And so in the Jazzwares section, we basically learned that two things. One, autumn/winter is the launch for the toy line, the planned launch for the toy line, with more to come in 2026 following the launch of the upcoming animated film. So specifically, the quote here is, joining forces with Paramount, Jazzwares has created a top-of-the-line toy range for Nickelodeon's Avatar The Last Airbender, featuring collector-focused action figures and plush. All toys are inspired by the iconic animated series. First collections launch in autumn/winter, with more to come in 2026, following the launch of the upcoming animated film. So that's cool. We have a release date of roughly autumn/winter, meaning we're probably thinking, yeah, like August, September. From that point on, that's when it's actually going to come out, more towards the end of the year. So it means there is for sure like a launch for 2025, with then them saying that there's obviously going to be more in 2026. And obviously with them referencing the movie, and we already know from a previous interview, stuff from the movie will be coming into the toy line. Now, does this mean like that's wave 2? Wave 2 of the toy line is the movie, or will it just be mix and match, and like where does Korra fit into that? That's what we don't know. But it's nice to get details like this, just kind of highlighting that, yeah, the toy line, because there's so much kind of money, and Paramount are going to be putting a lot of stock into this, because for the success of Avatar under Paramount to work, they need all this stuff to work together. Of course, they want the projects themselves to be successful, but they need the toy line to be successful as well, to make money, to draw people in that way. And this will be the first time, basically, we're really ever for Avatar going to have a toy line hitting at the same time as a piece of content, because of course Korra didn't really have merch and none of it hit at the right time. The little that it did have, ATLA did have a toy line at launch. It just was probably too early, given that it was a brand new franchise, and I think the crossover happened in the exact wrong way, where right as Avatar was getting super popular, they pulled back on the toy line, and we basically didn't have anything for the second half of the show when things were at their hottest, basically, for Avatar. So this will be the first time that hopefully everything aligns properly, and it just is a sense of this helps to make things feel a bit more real. That the toy line is like, yeah, we're going to have stuff for that movie. The movie is real. They know that I guess they have some of this stuff designed already behind the scenes. And it feels almost inevitable at this point that, yeah, in the same way we've already got, quote unquote, the kind of leaked information of almost like 2027 for Seven Havens, surely we'll get some toy leaks covering some stuff about the movie, which is probably inevitable at this point if Paramount continue to approach things in the same way that they have been. Already covered this, of course. Actually, no, this I actually do need to cover. So this is going back to Edelweiss. If we go to the key selling points on the Kyoshi Collector's Edition, they obviously have their marketing point here. Now, there's nothing, I would say, exceptionally new here, other than the fact that this is a brand new listing very recently because it references the full title of the movie, so within the last couple of weeks. What they say here is that Netflix Avatar did really well, and this resulted in a significant boost in sales for our titles. So Netflix Avatar made the novels sell better, and you would assume that the same is true for the comics and pretty much all other Avatar merch as well. That's been renewed for 2 more seasons, with the second season slated to release in 2026. Now again, I don't think we've ever gotten an official estimate on when exactly second season is coming, other than us guessing. I think there was speculation recently that it might have been like end of 2025 or something like that, but that's probably a low chance. So yeah, sometime in 2026, maybe early, might be a little bit later. They have to figure out which is going to go first. Is the movie actually going to come out first, or are they going to have Netflix Avatar Season 2 come out first? At the moment, it's probably looking like the movie's going to be first, and maybe this shortly afterwards, but we don't know if the movie's locked in with the January date still. They say a new animated film starring Aang, The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender, is currently in the works and will release exclusively in theaters. They don't have a date there, but I wouldn't read into that too much. And then Nickelodeon recently announced a new animated series set in the world of Avatar called Avatar 7 Havens, and that has a release date TBD. Now you'll note they say TBD. Toy World magazine from Paramount said 2027. I think you know to probably believe the Toy World magazine one maybe a little bit more, because they clearly had some sort of an insight with Paramount because it's ahead of the licensing expo, and they literally in that article referenced, you know, someone who works at Paramount. So 2027 is, I think, at least what we should have in our heads, rather than, oh, it's actually still TBD. So just a little bit of an update there, just to get a sense for what's going on. Other than that, a little bit of an information here, like, oh, okay, like we sort of expected, Zhao Tong did in fact do the new poster art for the concert for the 20th anniversary. So really nice to get that confirmed, and also here's the clean version of that image for anyone looking for that. So that's cool. On Twitter, I also went back to the anniversary announcement from February and just highlighted that, hey, look at all this stuff that we still don't have from this announcement yet. And all of this stuff is apparently meant to be this year. Like, look at this stuff. The Chibi Minis YouTube series, which is meant to be some form of animation. So that's going to be interesting. Brave New Elements Season 4 still hasn't been, like, announced with a date yet. ATLA Book 2 soundtrack still hasn't been announced with a date yet, but I'm guessing that's probably very soon, since we've had the concert announcement. San Diego Comic-Con details won't be until next month, end of next month, leading into July, but still, we know that we're expecting probably a big San Diego Comic-Con for Avatar this year. The Jazzwares toy line, which we've already covered, seems to be coming autumn/winter, but we still need to learn more about it in terms of, like, what are the exact wave breakdowns. We've only seen a few figures. It'd be nice to see a bit more. Probably the big one on the publishing front, Dark Horse comic miniseries is the big thing that hasn't been announced yet. What is this? When are we going to find out about it? Probably SDCC, but still, Dark Horse need to make quite a few announcements, and it probably sets up the publishing panel pretty well. Also, the Avatar Roblox game, Battlegrounds, still hasn't been, I think, officially launched yet, but there's just that. This one also on Edelweiss, I'll actually quickly show you guys this. This banner here for City of Echoes is sort of new. There's technically no real new information in this, but they doubled down on the piece of information that the series features characters from Avatar and Korra. Though it's the world of Avatar and Korra. So that maybe gives you a little bit more confidence that at some point down the line, the Avatar Legends book series will feature a Korra era story, which is quite exciting. It being Avatar Legends probably opens the door to the other eras as well. So hopefully we see stuff like maybe a Roku era story, maybe with Princess Zaysan, which would be very cool. I think that would be my go-to story if I could pick one. But that's just that. And then we get into the final news topic for the video, and that is that we have an update on the Voyage of the Unity Kickstarter for Avatar Legends RPG from Beadle and Grimm. They had their stream last night where they covered a little bit of information on what's going on. So, straight away, what they said with regards to the release date is this. That all they're saying right now is it'll be at some point, it'll launch in the next few weeks. They haven't decided on a date yet, so it's still a little bit up in the air. But at least it feels like they're finally getting to the point where, okay, at some point, maybe this month, maybe a little bit into next month, we should have the full details on what this is. They showed this image, which is a newer image compared to what we had previously. Previously, we had this basic same image, except it was just Roku. Now, this character's been added in. Who is this? My guess, and you can see in my tweet, the second I saw this, I said this, is this Sister Ryoshan, who would be kind of Princess Zaysan's girlfriend, sort of kind of basically lost love, that kind of can't happen due to kind of political situations that's going on. The design seems to fit the idea of the character, that this is a chi blocker airbender. She taught Zaysan how to chi block. She is a master airbender, so the design seems to fit there with the kind of no sleeves, the kind of wrist kind of bracers going on. That feels very chi blockery while still being, an airbender. Like, it's not your typical kind of female air nomad design. So that definitely to me feels like it fits some of the character traits I would associate with Sister Ryoshan. And in terms of new art that's going to be in this, it kind of feels like, well, yeah, she would be one of the go-to kind of characters we need art for. Her, maybe Teak, who's directly related to the Unity quite a bit. They'd be the kind of go-to other characters. So I hope that's what it is. I don't think we have any direct confirmation yet that this for sure is the case, or that there are going to be like other Legend NPCs. But I'm guessing they're going to want to use quite a few of the named characters from the Roku era in the various adventures that we have here. So that is kind of quite exciting overall. Then they showed a teaser, basically image of what the set is actually going to be. I'm guessing this is either one of or maybe the top tier that you can get. They seem to maybe imply that there is maybe a tier above this one that has a bit more stuff, but this, I'm guessing, is maybe the core main box that you're going for. If you get the premium edition, this is it. There might be a slightly fancier version, which I'll talk about in a second, but this is the main thing that they're going for here. So you can see here, it all comes in a box like all Beadle and Grimm stuff does. You get 5 adventures. There will be a general booklet about the Unity. It's called like the Guide to the Unity. There'll be some sort of core rules so that you can actually play. And then there seems to be a lot of extra stuff. So you get PDFs, of course, through DriveThruRPG, I think it is. Yes. It seems like you get a little bag, and then you get a piece of currency, it seems like, from each of the kind of 4 nations, I'm guessing, or something like that. That's kind of what it looks like here, because you clearly have, I guess, Water Tribe money, Earth Kingdom money, this is Fire Nation money, and then I'm not sure if that's maybe what, I guess, Air Nomads don't really have their own currency, so I'm guessing this is just another Fire Nation currency, perhaps, which is, I think, really cool as an item. You get some maps, and then some postcard kind of design kind of things, which, interestingly, one has a dragon here, and one of the other pieces of information they did give was that, yeah, the Kickstarter will have multiple tiers. There will be one that is just PDF only, that will be on the cheaper side of things, but it will go all the way up to what they're calling the Dragon Edition, which will feature a dancing dragon scroll. So that's kind of interesting because, of course, this, I don't think directly is this is not the dancing dragon here. So unless, they said there's multiple bending scrolls, so unless this really folds out and there's like tons of scrolls on it, there might be another scroll as well. So that's all kind of cool. Let's quickly address, maybe can we figure out anything about the story content here, because you can sort of see the pictures on each of the adventure books. So the first one, Welcome to the Unity, is, I'm guessing, what it's called. It looks to be set in the Northern Water Tribe, which I'm guessing is maybe where they take off from to start the journey. That's why it's called Welcome to the Unity. This is something Ukoa. So I'm guessing that maybe is a fire island that they pass by along the way. It looks like the image is of a fire temple on like an island. So that's kind of interesting. That, like, you go Water Tribe, Fire Nation story. This middle one here looks like it's some Southern Water Tribe ships, potentially, kind of out at sea. So that one might just be set like out on the open water. Maybe it's more on the ship itself. Not really sure. Next one clearly has a dragon in the picture, which is kind of exciting, given that, again, there's a picture of a dragon here, one on the cover here. They're teasing that one of the main additions is going to be dragon. I'm wondering, might there be some explanation on like what the situation is with dragons? Has Sozin implemented his plan yet? I guess from the Roku era, yeah, the RPG, we already know he's implemented the hunting of dragons, but will they address details about like where Sozin and Roku got their dragons from? That sort of lore would be kind of interesting to get. And then the last one here looks to be, is this Serpent's Pass. That could be exciting to see that in a different era if there's anything going on there. But yeah, it looks like a nice set. A lot's going to depend on the pricing, though. Very, very much so. I think a lot of the physical stuff that they have here, again, I want more details on what exactly it all is. A better look at it. But it looks pretty solid. I don't get the impression from what's here that this looks like an excessive amount of stuff, that like it's just, this is going to be a crazy amount of money. Obviously, if it is a full scroll thing that like it actually pulls out and stuff like that, that could be a little bit more of an expensive item. So I'll be interested to see how the kind of breakdown of all of this is. Like, how big is this actually compared to everything else? What's the stuff in the background here? Because obviously there's 5 adventures here, but then there's like 4 here. Are these just notebooks, notepads like they had before? That might be what's going on there. And again, I think on the preview Kickstarter they already highlight that you can get one that is just the core content physically, but then you can get the premium edition, which has all the extra stuff, but there might be other tiers as well. So exciting stuff. I'm eager to see what they do here. They have updated the Kickstarter preview with this as the new kind of main image here. So the potential Sister Ryoshan image here is kind of exciting to see. Definitely. So I really hope that's included here, and then when the Kickstarter actually launches, we get details that like, oh yeah, there are actually a few Legend NPC characters included here as well, because I think that Ryoshan was the main character I think people wanted to see. Yeah, I'm just eager for this to launch so I can kind of get the order in, know what's happening here, and we can move on to the next thing. Because what was interesting actually about what they did say about this is that Beadle and Grimm themselves were the ones who wrote all this stuff, the adventures for this. So I guess they're working with Magpie and Avatar Studios, but they did it themselves, meaning that the people who typically do it for Magpie, I guess, were doing other stuff. So were they working on another Avatar project? I'm not really sure. Of course, we all want the Spirit World kind of book, and I wonder, is that going to be incoming at any point? I'm guessing they probably are waiting to announce it until they're done with the Kickstarter for sure, because this is the next thing, of course, Voyage of the Unity. But they'll want to get to that sooner rather than later, because otherwise Magpie are just going to be a little bit like behind on everything. So they also did say that like they would like to do more beyond Voyage of the Unity, but it will depend on how well Voyage of the Unity Kickstarter actually does. They do want to work on other eras if they can, but this has to do well enough to justify that, of course. So hopefully that works out. I think anything to get more content going, that we have like main Magpie books, but then Beadle and Grimm are doing extra books as well. I think that would be a cool thing to do because I think there's just enough content in the RPG books that from a lore perspective that it keeps it interesting, and especially if they can potentially expand out into other eras going forward, like if they can include like the Seven Havens era, if they can go back and do Yang Chen, Wan's era and beyond. There's just unlimited opportunities, I think, with a lot of this stuff here. So my thoughts there. So in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on this Avatar Legends Voyage of the Unity. We have a little bit more details. Do you think this is Sister Ryoshan? I suppose is probably the big question here. What are your thoughts on stuff like, yeah, especially the Kyoshi novel collector's edition? Do you like the sounds of how it seems to be shaping up? Or are you like me, more about needs new art, I need to know if there's any extras within the pages rather than just basic presentation stuff like this? Plus like a bunch of the other stuff I covered, let me know in the comments below. But otherwise, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.